Previously on Fun, Food, and Travel.
Do you have any ties to Hollywood,
Sure.
teaching,
Sure. It's not something I've actively pursued. It mostly just comes to me. I've worked with lots of actors. Whatever it is, whether it's empty hand or weapons or firearms, so I can teach all of those things. So what I'm going to talk about today with you is a really simple principle, and it's going to make sense very quickly. The principle is called line. If you have line, you have the immediate opportunity to attack. If I have line, it's vice versa. I now have the immediate opportunity to attack. If you don't understand line, then you'll die. Basically, the person who understands it instantly has the advantage. If I can get to a place where my sword is here and your sword is there, I have a direct path to you. If I have the correct distance, you have no defense. The fight is over.
I just wanted to talk more about the shirts. You were saying it was a uniform, and it's
essentially
limited editions.
Creating uniformity in the class is helpful to creating cohesion in the group. So I'll do a run of shirts every couple of years, and they're limited editions. I just do a single run. So whoever gets them gets them. I don't sell them outside the class. So you have to be a student to wear the shirt. They're not black anymore, so it's getting around time to do another run. So I always try to do something that's kind of eye-catching. This one actually grew initially out of somebody had asked me at a seminar about some of the politics in martial arts, and my answer to them was that the only secrets will be kept by the questions you don't ask. And as I said the word, it was one of those moments where, God, I have to remember what I just said. That was great. So that's where that comes from. So as I mentioned to you, this is Babayan. This is the ancient script from the Philippines. It's a syllabic script. So this says Kali. The Ka, if I put a dot on it, would be Ki. So without the dot, it's Ka. This symbol with the dot on it becomes Li, or it would be Kala. If I reverse this, it would be Laka. That would be how you would write Lakas, or strength. Okay, so this is Kali and this is my name. Ni, Ki, Ta. So you see the dots make the I sound. So Kali Nikita, which is a simple way of saying that this is the art as I interpret it, my way of teaching the art. So I turn to this one. This is sort of the one I think that started the conversation. This is my father. My father fought in the Philippines, and this says honoring Robert M. Makita and all those who bravely fought for the liberation of the Philippines. 20 October 1944 to 2nd September 1945. So, as I mentioned, he fought from landing in Leyte on October 20th all the way through to the end of the war, pursuing the Japanese north to Luzon. So, it was terrible. He had lied about his age, so he was only 16. So, just a kid. And I saw some really terrible stuff. Went through hell. So turn. So, on the back, I mentioned before that the moon is really important, and you see the Philippine sun here. Which has you probably noticed the different provinces are symbolized. You are on your back as well. So the moon is really symbolic of training at nighttime. The stick is always the foundational weapon. So we teach everything from the stick. Anybody who's Filipino will have the weapons memorial plaque on their wall, along with generally a wooden fork and spoon somewhere. Am I right? So this is sort of typical. There's hundreds and hundreds of weapons in the Philippines. So you can't really say, oh, there's this many, because every artist will have his own permutation. I've seen dozens of different expressions of a kris, for example. So you can't really say that there's just one. Obviously, there's the empty hand aspect. So we have the hands are representative of that. This is more for the the Ifugao tribes, the headhunters. So this is a tribe, basically this is a trophy skull at the bottom. So the enemy. So you can see the Philippines, you can see the spears here, and then you see the traditional Filipino. So to bring the tradition and the culture into the school, which you talk about a lot. We turn this way. Bruce Lee is obviously a very big influence on anybody who does the kind of martial arts that I do. But most people don't realize that the person who influenced Bruce Lee the most was a gentleman named Jiddu Krishnamurti. He's a philosopher who only passed away in 1986, actually. But his work was astounding. It's definitely stuff that you should personally investigate. It's sort of life-altering thought processes. And one of the things that he said, and Bruce certainly borrowed, was where there is no style, there is no slave. So you don't want to be imprisoned by the methodology that you teach. This can become really easy because a style or anything that is set in its format creates security. Those who know it and those who don't know it. And the pursuit of security is very appealing to most people. And to really understand art, you have to basically give up security. So our art is constant expression. So if you're doing something that's set, now there's no expression anymore. You see what I mean? So that's basically it on the shirt. When he attacks me, he knows that I'm going to do what we call in fencing, or French terminology for fencing, a riposte, which is the answer after a parry. Okay, so I blocked, I'm immediately going to hit it. Because I have follow-through momentum, I have to hit this with power, as I said earlier. I have momentum, again, physics always applies. So now I'm going to come right from here and attack him. So without parrying, this is what that would look like. Just don't do a line close, just come and attack. So I'm hit and I just attack him directly. So he has, distance being time, he has this much time to solve that problem. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much he practices, if he doesn't have enough time to do the skill is meaningless. So again, he already knows when I begin to block that he's going to lose line. So he's already beginning to do his next technique. If he's waiting until he makes the contact, he'll never be able to counter it. So he's actually countering ahead of time. Just like you don't close your eyes and open them every once in a while when you drive. Okay, you have to keep them open. Okay, so he's keeping his eyes open. He sees that he's about to miss the turn, so he has to start making changes. So you'll notice that he immediately closes the line directly. Okay, so now I talked to you before about the geometry. He also has to think geometry, because I'm coming in with a very fast and hard shot. If he puts the stick in the wrong place, he's just going to get hit. If he puts it out really far where everybody says, well, that's where it's going to hit you, I could easily bypass this. So he needs to essentially split my weapon down the middle so he has the greatest margin for error, and then he can shut the weapon down. So now he has to know, and he does know, just spent last night attacking people learning this, or practicing it, he already knows it, that when he attacks me and I hit him, if he doesn't immediately seize control of my weapon, I'm just going to hit him again. Okay, and if I was hitting him again, it would look like this. How we go? That's right there. There's that much time, again, a small interval of time. But you'll notice I don't talk much about speed. I talk about time. Because the velocity of my weapon is immaterial. It's how much time do you have to answer the question. Because was it 30 miles an hour, was it 70? It doesn't matter. You can't know specifically, and it doesn't matter. So this time he's going to seize my weapon, I hope. so I'm here. Oh, he didn't. Come on. I'll give you one more chance. So I'm coming. That's it. He grabs my weapon right away, and then he can attack. So in the teaching of how to seize that weapon, let's go slow. My hand has to already be there. I can't get there in time. Again, his weapon is going to go right away to the next attack, so the weapon will already be gone. So my hand has to already be there. Okay, so instead of trying to grab it, again, we're going to be super stressed out. Don't move. That's how fast the weapon comes at you. Stresses you out. So imagine if I had made contact, and you now know I'm going to hit you again.
You said don't move.
But you know I'm going to come that hard. You've already been injured, and now there's another attack. Imagine you're stressed level. So where's your motor skills? In the gutter. Mm-hmm. You can't even figure out how to dial 911.
Right.
Okay, it'll be that diminishing of your motor skills. So when we teach these skills, we have to teach extremely simple actions. Extremely simple. So what I'm doing is I know that he's going to retract his weapon to hit me on the next target. So rather than trying to snatch his weapon out of the air, this would be a fine motor skill. I'm going to do a gross motor skill and just put my weapon behind his weapon so he puts it in my hand. So I never actually had to grab it. He put it there for me. See, it's very simple. It's just ingenious. Okay, there's a saying in the Filipino martial arts, you'll feel like a genius, but it's the training method. Okay, because it just makes sense. It's century upon century of figuring out how to fight an opponent in an intelligent way. And you would be a basketball player in the Philippines in the 1800s. Okay, so we're talking about really small people and conquistadors as big as me. For almost 400 years of Spanish domination. So that's what they were dealing with all the time. So when it comes to trying to learn an art to defend against somebody you're really afraid of who's twice your size, what better martial art? See what I mean? So because this is not a sport, again, I just showed you I'm going to hit him in the eyeball. There's not much sportingness in that. Okay, and I'm not going to stop because I have to deal with, this is a jungle warfare art, so I have to hit him, 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 him.